Want a job at Google. Not trying to be a creep, but I read your book and thought, that's a cool-ass dude with whom I'd like to have served. I'm a former Marine, worked in comms and intel gathering, but now I work on the global security and intel team for Google. We hire interesting and awesome people, and while I can't promise anything, if something on our team opens up in the near future, I could submit an internal referral and maybe make something happen. This place is like Disneyland. Free food, everyone's happy, and I wear sandals to work. So do I, bro. Your worst day here would be like your best day at CIA. Bold statement. Let me know if you're interested. Also, I'm not a recruiter, just want to meet Oleg. I had a Russian blue once, and that cat hated me, so I've got something to prove. Thanks, dude, for your nice comments, and thanks for the offer. I mean, that's really sweet. I've never even considered working for Google or really too much in the private sector. I don't know how my skills really translate. But thanks. One of your posts right there and a post right there, then that part will have those special over there, and then there'll be an opening right there. As for it being like Disneyland, that sounds really cool. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's pretty awesome to work at Google. I don't know, but yeah, I wear sandals every day too. I don't know how I would do in that type of environment, to be honest with you. I haven't had a direct supervisor in several years now, and even at CIA, I was kind of on my own. You're kind of doing your own thing, making things happen. So, I don't know, but you had a Russian blue, so you must be cool. Working for the CIA. Hey, so I just recently read your AMA and found it to be considerably entertaining. I commend you on your work. Now, I do have a question for you. Let's say, for example, I know someone who works in some part of the government, CIA, FBI, SEAL team, whichever it may be, NSA, etc., and is not allowed to reveal their job to anyone, but they do. What happens in this case? It depends who they revealed it to, one, and I get why you're trying to be hypothetical. I'm assuming somebody you know works in one of these organizations and they told you what they do, and you were like, whoa, and maybe you're trying to vet them out to determine if it's even real, because they shouldn't have told you, or how could they tell you? What happens to you? Nothing. Or your friend, if it happened to them, nothing. The person that allegedly works there, if they do work there, I mean, it's at their own risk. Everybody has their own restrictions on who they can tell and who they can't. If they're a field guy, you probably want to limit that to just about anyone and everyone that's not your spouse. If you don't have a spouse, I mean, I elected to tell my brother, and that was it, for obvious reasons. If they're not so obvious, I mean, you have this thing called a cover that you have to live every day, so that should be obvious. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they're under some sort of different restrictions. I mean, if the guy's an FBI, and unless he's in deep cover type stuff, he has a badge and he has a gun, so chances are he doesn't have to hide it from anyone. I mean, he's like a federal cop. So, SEALs, I mean, they're part of the military. Most SEALs I know will happily tell you over a couple beers that they're a SEAL. Maybe if he's an ST6 dude doing some high-speed shit, he's not supposed to talk about it, but most SEALs will talk about it. I mean, hang out in San Diego for about 4 minutes, you can't swing a dead cat without running into a Navy SEAL. So, I mean, even people at the CIA, you know, I would assume the vast majority of people who work there can tell anybody they want. They're probably advised not to, but there's really no restrictions. I mean, if you're an analyst, you can put it on your resume and apply to grad school without asking anyone whether that's right or wrong. So, I'm guessing, I mean, I can only speak for me and my occupation at the CIA, and I didn't tell anyone but my brother what would have happened to me had I elected to. I don't know, it probably would have been more just shit I would have had to have deal with that I wouldn't have wanted to deal with. I don't think anything really federally would have came down upon me, depending on who I told. Obviously, I'm not going to go tell Vladimir over at Russia House and DuPont what I do. It's for the hell of it. But anyway, I don't know if that answers your question. Reality, most people who have a clearance or claim to have a high-speed job, they can talk about it. They shouldn't talk about what the actual job entails, but they can tell you where they work, whether that's NSA, DIA, CIA, especially FBI, especially military. Quick thanks for an atypical topic in the book. Hi, Doug. Oh, cool. You got a sweet name here. Your handle. Hi, Doug. I highly doubt you're still checking this account. You're highly wrong. And there are probably hundreds of messages lying around this inbox. You are highly correct. But I just wanted to do the cheesy thing and thank you for your book. I will spare the platitudes regarding the work or your service, but wanted at least to acknowledge your experiences with the ex-girlfriends in the closet thing. I've read To My Own, never served, but was posted overseas for a number of years in other work. Seems weird to thank someone for having similar screwed up relationships, but there you are, unless we're both Tyler Durden, in which case this seems a bit narcissistic. Cool, dude. Yeah, living overseas, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough to maintain a relationship as it is domestically when you're around every day, isn't it? Especially at this age, especially in today's world. It takes work. It does. It takes dedication. So yeah, throw some real monkey wrenches into that equation and it gets a lot harder. But I'm glad that you liked that portion of the book. I think I've said it before. A lot of people initially did not like it. There was some question on whether even to publish that much about my relationships in my home life. I thought it was essential. And I wasn't going to back down from that. I thought it complemented the rest of the story, so it sounds like you did too, so thank you. Good luck with the rest of your... Thank you very much for saying that. You're a nice dude. Random internet guy. PT onboarding. Doug. Not sure if you still check this account given the last message about the other blue badger talking shit. Yeah. But just wanted to say I love your book. Honestly, I've read tons of intel books about the community, agency, tradecraft, other bullshit, but none have even come close to being as honest as yours. I really appreciate your candor throughout the entire thing. In fact, it inspired me to shoot off an application to them. FYI, currently a senior college student and have completed an internship at NGA. Well, as I'm sure you well know, any forms that may or may not be mailed in a plain envelope tell you not to discuss the progression of your application, based from anecdotal knowledge, of course. Anyway, on the long shot, you even look at this anymore. I wanted to see if you could lend an individual that may or may not be moving forward any advice regarding the interview process, or honestly, just advice in general for this whole thing. If not, thanks for writing the book. I find myself rereading many passages now for reference or a good laugh. No, I will not give you any advice on the interview process. I can't. That was highly redacted in my book, sorry. And it wouldn't be fair to give you a hint as to what the questions are or what that whole scenario is like. The only thing I could say is work on being extemporaneous. Work on being quick on your feet. That's all I'll say. So you can plan all you want for it, but you probably won't have thought of everything. Any advice in general for this whole thing? My advice at this point, you're a senior in college, you may have graduated by the time I saw this. Maybe you're already working there. If so, awesome. Stick with it. If if you're frustrated now and you're already there, my advice is to stick with it and at least do a couple tours and see if you like field work. Don't ever just quit after having only served at Langley. Try it out, see if the field makes any difference first. Don't get too frustrated with their bureaucracy, but also know who you are, in so much that if you find that the bureaucracy is going to be something that you just cannot deal with and that shit gets to you, and you're not one to fold or give in or decide to turn your canoe around and go downstream and go along with everything, then it's probably not for you. Like any governmental job, you need to adapt to their culture and their lifestyle. And if that sounds like it sucks to you and you're going, fuck that, then let me just tell you, you're wrong, because the machine is a lot bigger than you and you will not change it, ever. Sorry to deflate you. If you think you're going to, you're not. I thought about it, and that was disabused within 2 seconds later. I realized what a fool I would be to even think such a thing. Then I went and bought some cat food from Walmart, talked to my cat for an hour. Either way, I hope that if it's what you want to do, you got in. Sorry if my advice sounds horrible, but I'd rather shoot you in the right direction. And I hope it doesn't sound pessimistic. I want you to apply. I want you to have a great time. I just want you to understand and know what to expect to the best that I can. I don't know. You read my book, so thank you. If you bought it, thanks for that. If you didn't, I hope you got it from the library. Keep supporting your local library. Oh, here's some hate mail. This is fun. I won't read your screen name, dude, but thanks for this nasty gram. Wow, a typical former agency DO guy. What's it like to exaggerate your stories constantly to look cool? Dude, look, I worked in the community for the better part of a decade, including deployments to combat zones, both in uniform and out. And what I can say is that the job of a case officer is nowhere near as spooky and crazy as former DO guys try to make it sound. Their job is to recruit and meet locals who may have access to sensitive information, work them as informants, and spend hours behind a computer typing a report about what was discussed. This information may or may not be intelligence depending on what the analysts want to do with it. Important job? Yes. James Bond? Absolutely not. Most of the job is spent in an office, or, if deployed to a war zone, on a protected base somewhere. Any former intelligence officer that runs around calling himself a spy is clearly inflating his job title out of romanticism. Employees of the U.S. intelligence community are not spies. The ones who run around doing the actual spy stuff are locals, non-employees, who are recruited as informants. The CIA makes this pretty clear on their website from the get-go. You, purportedly a former DO case officer, should know better. Slow burn, dude. Yeah, okay, so you worked in the community, in uniform and out. By community, I'm guessing you mean the intelligence community. I'm not at all surprised by what you have to say. I worked in contracting for special operations for a few years after the agency, and this was a very familiar mindset, and this is a popular sentiment that folks like yourself would have. It's unfortunate. I wish it weren't that way, but I was used to hearing this quite a bit. And I get it. I understand. It's two different worlds, you know. I mean, two different masters, two different objectives. A lot of times, Vice, DoD, and CIA. So I get why there's the difficulty there, and why there can be some hostility. So no No harm there, dude. I don't hold a grudge about that. It sounds like you do. Um, as far as knowing better about calling myself a spy, actually, I do know better because I was one, and I was a CIA case officer. Um, if you knew that and you knew what it's like working with CIA case officers, you would know that we get a kick out of calling each other spies to our faces, seriously, and we call each other spooks, and we call each other agents sometimes when we're being very casual, like Keanu Reeves, the line from Point Break, "I am an FBI agent." We put CIA in front of that. So actually, my AMA, I was pretty casual and having a good time with it. So it was similar to, I don't know, having fun with my buddies. We all call ourselves spies, and I do know the difference between an asset and an agent and an officer. Um, so I do know better, but I appreciate you giving me the heads up in case I was fraudulent and fabricating this whole thing. You would help me here to not overski, but the reality is I did work for the CIA, and we do call ourselves spies all the time, all the time. So maybe that's a point for you to take with you, and just know that going forward. But thanks anyway. I mean, thanks for taking the time to hate mail me. It's cool. AMA with what appears to be your full first and last name. Cool, dude. Hey, bud, just wanted to thank you for putting in the time to go through all of those questions. All things considered, it's good to see somebody that got out of it without sticking around the depressing post-retirement drinking circle jerk of former officers, even if it meant burning a bridge or 10. It means more than you know. Thanks for your service. There will always be those folks out there who will shit on what you did for your country, and I'm glad you've the sense not to listen to a word of it. I'll give you a wink and a nod if I ever see you during a morning run. I wonder if there's more to you sending this to me than what's on its surface. Maybe you know me, or maybe you at least know the field. It sounds like you probably might have had the same job as me at one point, if you don't still. Um, yeah, man, give me that wink. I don't recognize you from your first and last name. I hope that that's some sort of alias that you're using. And now I'm guessing it probably is your pseudonym or something that you made up just for Reddit. But as far as letting shit get to me, I don't and I do. How can you not? I mean, I do hear from time to time that a lot of my peers hate my guts and think I'm a complete piece of shit. And when I hear that, I can't help but be bothered by that immensely. But it's a decision I made. I made the decision to write a book. I made the decision to do what I've done. So I have to live with that. I really, really get thrilled on the other side of that coin when I hear that some people that I really respected enjoyed my book and think it was great. So it goes both ways. But to say that I don't listen to a word of it, I don't actively seek it out, but when it comes my way, it doesn't sting any less. But no, if you write a fiction book, if you write a poetry book, if you make an album, don't read your reviews, don't go on Twitter, don't do any of that social media bullshit, because I imagine it would just destroy your mind. Don't. It's not worth. It's not worth your. It's not worth your peace of mind. Speaking to an old spook, you beat me by 2 years on the nose. This is super strange to say, but after finishing your book, I feel like I've unknowingly followed you around for years. How do I avoid burning out? I have an inclination to stay with one of the alphabet soups for the rest of my life. That's it. Uh, so, uh, How do you avoid from burning out because you think you're going to stay forever? Um, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what your occupation is. I don't know. It's a tough question, man, because this is something we used to talk about when I was still in the agency, and a lot of guys, we got to keep in mind, what a lot of people forget is that this is still a federal job. And so if you do 20 years in any federal job, you can retire. So if you join the agency at, let's say, 23, you can fully retire and start drawing retirement at 43. So, you know, at my midpoint, I had a lot of friends saying, well, I've done 10. If I stay another 10, can I stay another 10? My thought was, if you're questioning about whether you can even tolerate another 10 years, you should leave. So if you're at that point, yeah, man, probably pull the ripcord. If you're past that and it's maybe only 5 years to go, I don't know. You know, maybe suck it up and then move on to something else with the latter part of your life. But then, how can I talk? You know, I left after a brief stint, and it was because I was burnt out. So it'd be pretty hypocritical for me to tell you how to avoid burning out. My only solution was to leave, and I'm not advocating that for you or anyone. I'm not advocating anyone to leave. I'm advocating for people to stay if they can. If you can't, go, but don't take the path I did and just burn up, burn out, and exit stage left. I hate reading this because I'm hoping that, you know, you can find some satisfaction in what you're doing and enjoy however much longer you have to go. So maybe just have that conversation. And I get it, it's a bureaucracy. Your boss would probably stonewall you and give you some bullshit platitude that you already know he's going to say before he says it. So I'm sorry for that. But maybe try a lateral move. And federal government is federal government. So, you know, maybe you can, I don't know, go work for the GAO or something, or the IRS. I don't know. But sorry, I don't have a better answer than that, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Hi there. Hi, Doug. My name is, and then you tell me your name. I just recently started reading your book, and I'm pretty impressed so far, but that's not why I'm messaging you. Now, this is going to sound a little bit odd, but while I was reading your AMA, I saw that you were single, and I had the strangest idea pop into my head that I should try and set you up with one of my closest friends. You're listing her name. This all sounds a bit bizarre, I know. She's hilarious, a total babe, a physical therapist, and one of the sweetest girls you ever come across. She just turned 32 in December. I promise there's not a damn thing wrong with her, ha. I know this is awfully strange, and I wholeheartedly don't expect a response back, but if it's something you're willing to try, then I'll send you her number. P.S. I promise this isn't just a setup to try and sell your kidneys. Well, Missy, if it's true, thanks, I appreciate that, but I'm imagining your real life name is Svetlana at this point. And you're probably a dude, and you're probably sitting in Moscow right now, or somewhere in China with 61398. If it's legit, I mean, thanks. That's cool. But next time, send nudes. Agency surreptitious entry. Hey, great AMA. I always wish I could be a case officer. Anyways, I'm a former commercial locksmith with pretty good safe cracking and lockpicking skills and always want to know, how does one apply to do the covert entry side of things? I've checked the website multiple times, and while I've been tempted to ask or call, it just seemed out of reach. Any ideas? Thanks. That's pretty badass, dude. You got a cool job. I would apply online. Look a little deeper. I think you'll probably find the outfit that you're looking for. I don't know if it's online, so I don't want to tell you. But I think there's probably someone who could use your skills. I think. I don't know. But look a little bit closer and you may find what you're looking for. If it's not on there, apply anyway and list your skills. Keep in mind though, you didn't say anything about where you say a commercial locksmith. You're still going to need that 4-year degree. That's mandatory, okay? So keep that in mind. So consider that when you apply. But sweet job, dude. Thank you. Exclamation points. Love the book. It's your subject line. I saw the AMA while I was slamming back some Jaeger bombs and drunkenly bought the book. That's all I could ever ask for. I got the book today, 1500, and now that it's 1300, I'm halfway through. What's the military like, my friend? My dad was just telling me about the triple agent you mentioned in the book, and I plan to read that now. What book would be one that you recommend, military or just for funds? Roger that. Nice. I love that you were slamming Jaeger bombs and you bought the book. That's badass. You say you were reading the AMA. I hope that you were slamming Jaeger bombs at home while reading the AMA. If you were doing it at the bar, I hope you were pre-gaming. I'm praying that you weren't looking at your phone while you were with your friends reading the AMA, because nothing could be more interesting than the people right next to you. And I'm glad that you bought it drunk. What did you think of it sober? Do you like it? Hit me back. You got a funny name as well. As far as other books, Triple Agent already said. The $1 Billion Spy was really good. Military or just for funds? Just for funds. Just for funds. The Sympathizer. I would read The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen. Check that out. It's funny. And it's about espionage in Vietnam. So it's kind of both of your wickets. Just following up. Hi, Doug. I'm sorry we never got anywhere. I'm going to use this AMA and your answers as part of an article that I'm writing on pro-intervention propaganda through social media. Hi. I do plan on contacting Doug Laux. However, is necessary for a comment or lack thereof on the contents of the posts you made, all of which are stored locally. All right, dude. I thought it only polite to make you aware that I would investigate your claims since you asked me to do so. I'd usually put a smiley here, but I'm actually pretty puzzled so far. Be talking to you. Cheers. It's kind of a threat, dude. I don't know. So no, you won't be talking to me. And I don't know what you mean by pro-intervention propaganda. If that's what you took my AMA for, then you were wrong. And I'm sorry you thought that way, but I guess your perception is your reality. So if that's what you feel it was, and that is what it was to you, I'm not an interventionist. I'm not pro-intervention. And I don't think I got political at all. I'm a pretty apolitical guy. So I don't know where you got that from, but just for the record, I'm not pro-intervention, and that wasn't propaganda. That was just me answering questions because that's what it was all about. So I think it was pretty clear it wasn't to sell books. Well, this is a nice one. I don't even know what Reddit is. From Emma. I don't even know what Reddit is, not kidding. But I just signed up solely to send this message, and I'm not sure exactly who I'm even sending this to. But if this is Doug, please call, text, or email me. I've already texted and emailed, which obviously did not go as planned. And I'd rather know I'm communicating with you than with fuck knows who. Emma. I knew that you sent this because Austin told me, and I think he's already responded back to you on what I had to say. So, thanks for taking the time to look me up on Reddit, Emma. I hope you're doing well, and it's always good to hear from you. I don't know what else to say to that. I hope you're doing fantastic. A lot. I'm super late to this party. What are your 3 tips for mental toughness? Thanks for being a cool spook. Thank you for saying that. You use zeros for your O's and cool and spook. That's cool. KEWO. 3 tips for mental toughness. That's a great question. You got me off the cuff here. Mental toughness. I guess the first would be keep up the illusion that you are mentally tough. And what I mean by that is when you hate something or it's not going your way or your first reaction is to complain, don't. Just keep your mouth shut and say nothing at all. And just think and let the situation envelop around you and evolve. I just got back from South America working with some people I really didn't like at all. And I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs 30 times a day, but I didn't. I assumed they probably thought I had some pretty solid resolve, but the reality is that I knew if I lost my temper, it would look bad on me because it probably was what everyone was expecting. You know, the CIA dude to, go off the handle and yell at everybody. I don't know. Maybe they didn't, maybe they did, but I just didn't want to feed that perception. So regardless of what it is, yeah, I mean, I think I do that not just with these idiots I was working with recently, but even in an argument with someone you might be dating or your family, just chew the fat on it for a little bit before you respond. And yeah, at least maybe to give the illusion that you're sucking it up. You wanted 3. I don't know. I don't want to give you any platitudes. I mean, for me, I think a lot of it has just come with experience and just calcifying and becoming more callous to things that are kind of petty and recognizing when things are petty. Take a look at what you're complaining about maybe before you do it. And this is, again, kind of going off of what I just said previously of kind of keeping your mouth shut until you're ready to respond. But think about if it's really that horrible or not. This project I was working on too, I actually had to stop a few guys. We were all complaining about something. And got a fan right there. We were all complaining about something, and it it struck me as we were complaining about what we were complaining about, how petty it was, and I said to the three guys sitting at this table with me, so we were trying to come up with a plan. You know, we're sitting here complaining about XYZ. How fortunate of a thing for us to complain about, because right through that door right there are people sleeping in the gutters. You know, there's people starving to death right outside of our door. And while we should be doing something about that, we're sitting here complaining about something that 99% of the world would love to have as their main complaint for the day, you know? So how fortunate are we? So maybe that's part of it, but ultimately I think it's just about being experienced and just knowing when it's worth getting worked up about and when it's not. I think that's probably it. What do I know? I don't know. The third one, as far as mental toughness, man. I think it's, yeah. Look, all I'll say is it's experience. It really is. And if you have none or you're really young, you can still be tough, I guess. You can have some resolve. You can have a core to you, and but ultimately, until you've been tested a few times, you know, if you've never been tested, then of course the petty shit is going to seem extreme to you. I had a friend who the worst thing that ever happened to her was her dog dying, and it crumbled her for weeks on end. And I look at that and go, yeah, I'm a big pet lover, but how fortunate for that to be the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life, considering some of the really, really bat shit that has happened to people around the world. But again, perception is reality, and your reality is yours and yours alone. So if it's the worst thing that's happened to you, then you're going to react to it like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and it's going to be hard to be tough. But just don't forget what that was like for when something much, much worse comes along. And, you know, just learn from it, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. But I hope that it works out for you, and thanks for the question, man.